everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this week is part 2 of my Sew Lit series, where I listen to an audiobook, do a little read along and review while I sew something. This week's book is Rose and Chains. This is the second half of the book, so if you have not watched my first video of this series, go check that out. I will have it linked above and below and all that good stuff, but let's go and get started. So in the first video, it was me picking out the fabric, cutting everything out, all that stuff. This is actually the first time where I'm actually sewing anything. So every sewing mistake I make from here on out, I will entirely blame on Tovin Hurst because he is so distracting. Because I am really getting really immersed in this book. I really should have picked a book that wasn't as... I want to try and find another word other than immersive, but that's really the only word I can really think of at the top of my head at the moment. But there's like so many times where I've just kind of like lost focus on what I was doing and just listening to the book, which is really good for a book, but not great for a sewing project. So I've ironed down the seam here in the front for the channel, or to start working on the channel, and I've also sewn down the bottom part as well. So now I need to attach these two together to finish making the channel for the lacing, and then do the darts on the back, and then attach the back to the front by the side seams. And then I have to start working on sewing this together as one long strip, and then gathering it, and then attaching that to the top and the bottom. And then start working on the sleeves, and then attaching that, and then doing the zipper. And hopefully when this is done, I will have a cute top to show for my efforts. So let's get started. But Julie Soto's writing is impeccable. Chef's kiss. Mwah. And she really makes it where you are very emotionally invested in the story and in the characters and the world. Everything. Her world building is amazing. If I had not known beforehand that this was based off Harry Potter fan fiction, I don't think I would have known at all. Like, yeah, it's kind of easy to tell who is the main three. Like, you can tell which one's Hermione, obviously, the main character. You can tell which one is Ron. You can tell which one is Harry. They're both kind of out of character in my opinion. But then again, I'm just basing entirely off the movies because I've never read the books. And then, of course, the main male character, Tovin, is based off Draco Malfoy because this is based off Dramione fan fiction. However, the world building, the magic system, pretty much everything, honestly, most of the characters' character is pretty unique as well. So if you told me this wasn't based off fanfiction, I'd also believe you. Like, I feel like the most where it's based off Harry Potter, I think kind of maybe the look of the characters. Like, you know, the white hair, Morley Gray, main male character, girl with brown, wavy, curly hair, for the girl who's very studious. Like, that's the very basics of Draco Malfoy, from what I understand, and Hermione Granger. But I really do believe that this book stands on its own, even without the basis of the Dramione fanfiction where it started, where it like its roots. So I'm done making the channels from the front of the top. They're not great. Is this the best I've ever done? No. Is this the worst? Honestly, maybe. These are very wobbly and not straight, and like look how wide the channels are here, and they're like really narrow down here and everything. However, with how difficult this rounded shape is for me to sew, I'm just gonna call it a win that they're even there and just go on to the next thing. Because if they're super even or not, it's not gonna super matter because it's all gonna be like scrunched up like this, you know, and so you're not gonna really see that it's super uneven. It's pretty forgiving. So hopefully it'll be fine. I'm only worried about getting my laces through here. Like, I'm worried about there being enough room. But other than that, it should be good enough. So on to the next thing. Now I got them all pinned up and everything is ready to go. I think these match well enough. They don't look like it in the camera, which is making me a little bit nervous, but oh well, I did the best I could. So let's get started. So I'm done doing the side seams for the top part, or the bodice. Okay, all this is the top, so I really should just say the bodice, I guess. Next, I'm going to sew up the side seams for the skirt part of the bodice. I went ahead and cut the back piece, like the instructions say. I thought since I'm making this dress into a top instead of a dress, I'd be able to get away with not needing a zipper that goes all the way down. However, I was thinking about it. I think I am going to need a zipper that goes down a little further. Also, if I didn't cut this would be all one big tube, and that'd be really hard to get attached to the top or the bodice part. So just to make it easier on myself, I went ahead and cut it. Worst case scenario, if I don't need it for the zipper, I'll just sew it back up, no big deal. It's in the back, so whatever. But I'm gonna try and get this done as quickly as I can because I need to start getting ready to go see Superman with my husband tonight. And I would like to get as much of this done as possible, but I may not have time, I don't know. But I'm gonna get to sewing. So it's the next day and I'm about to get started sewing again. And so now I'm going to do 2 basting stitches around the top here so that I can use them to gather up all the skirt material and be able to stitch it underneath here. So also, in case you were wondering, we went to see Superman last night and it was really good. I think it's one of my favorite Superman movies of all time. I really enjoyed it a lot. And my husband really liked it too. But once again tonight, I'm going to see another movie. I'm going to go see the new Jujutsu Kaisen movie tonight. So once again, I'm not going to have all day to work on this. So I'm going to try and get as much done as I possibly can. So enough talking, let's get started. So thanks to me being completely zoned in on my book and not zoned in on my sewing project, I completely don't notice that I ran out of bobbin thread halfway through this very long seam and have to basically redo it. Pretty upset about it. So I have to rip out all of the seam that I already did that didn't, go through and everything, and I have to redo it all over again with the bobbin thread. Since I'm gonna be using this seam to do the gathering, I need it to be all one whole string. I can't just restart where the last one left off. So I'm pretty upset with that. So I'm done gathering everything on the skirt part. That took friggin' forever and was really long and tedious and took me way too long. I did forget to get video of me doing this part because I got really into my audiobook and kind of forgot that I didn't have the camera rolling, but oh well. Just trust me, it was long, boring, and tedious, and you didn't want to watch it anyway, so it's fine. So I have the whole thing lined up with the edges of the top and have it all pinned. So now I just have to sew all the way along here and hope for the best that it all fits. And then after that, I just go to the top seams, put in the zipper, and do the sleeves. Which doesn't sound like much, but I made this before. The sleeves will take me forever. They are very difficult, and I hate doing them, and I dread it so much. So the sleeves themselves might take me a day in of themselves, but we'll see. So let's get to sewing. So this is another mistake that I'm blaming on Tove and Hurst here. I accidentally don't really think about it or notice that I'm sewing my seam a little far in to the top. And so I accidentally sew over the openings for the lacing in the front. I end up seam ripping all of that. It was really hard because this thread is a really good match for the fabric. And on top of that, there's quite a few seams down there already from the gathering and then from the ends of the lacing channels. And so it's kind of hard to figure out which one's supposed to rip and which ones need to stay there. Because if I rip out like the wrong one, I'll have to like take this whole thing apart and redo those few stitches. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. Luckily I get it all done right. However, while I'm doing that, I play around with some elastic and a few other things. And I realized I really don't want the lacing there because the other dress I have, it has the lacing like right, like the ribbon is like right there in front, right underneath my chest. And I don't love it. Like I think it looks a little abrupt just having one bow just right there in the middle. I thought I didn't like it originally on my other dress because I used a black ribbon and the bulk of my fabric was gray, and I thought maybe that was the problem. So I thought if I got a ribbon that was closer to the color of the dress, it wouldn't be as stark. But as I was playing around with it with some elastic to do some testing and stuff, when the channel got sewn up, I realized I actually liked it with elastic better, where I didn't have to have a ribbon there at all. And it also made it a little more flexible around my chest, which I thought looked a little nicer. And so I decided to actually end up keeping that. However, I did not think this through, because later on I figure out that I don't have enough elastic now for the rest of my top. But I don't notice this at this moment. That is a problem, unfortunately, for future Megan. So here I am trying it on a little bit outside over some clothes. I do plan on wearing these biker shorts with it when I go to DragonCon. So I really want to make sure it lays nicely on these. So I'm just trying it on, make sure the fit is nice. I'm trying to figure out where I want to have it hemmed on the bottom, because the back pieces are much longer than the front pieces because of how I cut the fabric and everything. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I want it to sit on me. And then I take it back in to sew some more. I got the invisible zipper in pretty easily. I'm very proud of myself for the zipper. Getting it all pinned and placed right was really difficult, because this is another example of the book getting a little too distracting. I pinned the zipper in like backwards like 3 times. Like I would pin it in, it would be backwards. I realized it luckily before I started sewing, unpin it, and then would pin it again, and then would pin it backwards in again somehow, like 3 times, because I was just so into my book. So I'm pretty far into the book at this point, and they still have not kissed. Like, this is a true slow burn romance, and I am eating it up. The tension is exquisite. Now, normally this would annoy the crap out of me, but that's because of normally the romance is the main plot. So if it's a slow burn, that means the story is slow, because of they're relying on the romance entirely to move the plot along. Whereas this is not the case. This is a story, and the romance is a side plot of the main story. So there are still things going on, and it's not as a big of an issue that the romance is such a slow burn. Like, the story is not waiting on them to kiss to move on. The story is, and the plot is moving along with or without them kissing or not. So if you're really into a true slow burn, I would highly recommend this. So normally I don't like books that have not necessarily dual timelines. I do love it when there's like 2 separate stories going on. Like Lauren Willig is a good example, where she has a lot of novels where there'll be a storyline where a few of the chapters are set in modern day or something close to it, and then the other storyline will be set way in the past, like several hundred years or something like that. I do love it when it's that way. However, what I don't love is when it's a separate timeline for the same characters. Like it's their backstory kind of thing in the past chapters. And I usually don't like that, but however, I think it actually really works in this case, because Julie Soto does an amazing job once again, where she has the chapters that are for backstory, so it's the past, and it's back when they're in school and stuff together. And it really is just enough to give you some backstory without it being like an info dump or anything like that, which I really appreciate. And it's also not so separate to where it feels like there's 2 storylines going on. It really does feed into and enhance the overall narrative and story, and also world building. Because like in the chapters that are set in the past, like I said, it's in them in school. And so it's them learning how to do magic. And so it's a really natural way of introducing world building without it feeling like exposition, without it feeling forced, where it really does go along with the story nicely. And so you're kind of learning along with the characters how the magic works and other things about the world. Because in the story, the main female character and everyone from her kingdom, Evermore, has to go to the other kingdom for like 1 year of school to learn magic their way in their school, and then vice versa. And they take turns. And so in the book, the past chapters are about the people of Evermore going to the other kingdom to learn magic for their 1 year. And so you're also learning about the Tovenhurst and his family in his country that he's from in their ways so you're learning at the same time as the main female character as well. So I'm sorry that I keep referring to her as main female character instead of her name, because I honestly cannot pronounce her name. Here it is on screen. I cannot say this. I keep hearing it because it's an audiobook, and I still cannot confidently say her name correctly without a lot of thinking about it beforehand. So here it is. I'm trying it on real quick. Just checking out the seams and everything's lined up and everything fits right before I finalize anything by stitching anything down. Right off the bat, the elastic here and here is way too tight. It's very uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I'm losing feeling in my fingers from how tight at least this one is. This one's really tight. Whereas these are too loose. So I'm gonna have to like make the elastic a little smaller here and get a bigger piece here and here for sure. But the other issue is this hem. Like, I'm not sure how much you can see on the camera from that angle, but like, it's a little uneven. It's much longer in the front than it is in the back. But when I stand up straight, my shoulders back like I'm supposed to, it's fine. It's perfectly even. However, I don't always stand straight like most people. So I'm usually like this. And so it is a little further down in the front than it is in the back when I stand like normal. But I'm trying to figure out like how much does that matter? Because ironing down this rolled hem all the way around was a pain in the butt, and I really don't want to do it again. But I don't know. Also, like, I don't like how much it sticks out in the front. And I'm trying to think, well, we're doing a top stitch all the way around, make that go down some? I don't know. Unfortunately, I won't know until I actually do it. So it could like make the top look different in a way I don't like. And then it'd be too difficult for me to like take that seam out because of the thread matches really, really well. And so it's kind of hard to see. And there's several other stitches up there that need to stay in that I would definitely get mixed up with if I did a top stitch and I try to rip it out afterwards. And so I don't really want to do that. But I kind of like how it pushes out a little bit. Like, I don't hate it. It makes it, I think, a little more visually interesting. But I don't hate it, but I also don't like love it that way. So I don't know. I also like can't tell if I really think this shape is flattering on me or not. I'm not sure. Like, a part of the problem I think that might be where it's hitting me on like on my hips, but I really can't change that too much because I really want these Millennium Falcons to be like whole and not like cropped into or anything from the hem, and so I can't go any further up than this. And the fabric is not very long, and so it kind of, I can't go any further down either really. And so this is kind of where it's going to be. I wish I could bring this down a little bit, but this hem is pretty small, and so it won't roll all the way into itself if I made it go down anymore. I don't know, but oh well. I'm not sure how noticeable that would really be, that it's a little, the hem's a little uneven. And like I said, like when I'm standing up straight, it is even. But when I stand like normal, like how I normally would stand, it is pretty uneven looking. I don't know. But otherwise, I really enjoy this. I love this. I think it's really cute. I did stitch the sleeves a little more far in because I wanted to see if I can cover my bra so I can wear a normal bra. But it looks like that's not gonna work. My bra's like right there and right there. So I wasn't able to stitch it close enough. So I'm still gonna have to wear a strapless bra with this, which I'm not happy about because they're not comfortable. But oh well. It's cute, it's worth it. I really like it. I'm really happy with this. I might end up making another one of these with the Merit carpet fabric that I have, which if you don't go to DragonCon, they have something called the Cult of the Merit carpet there, where it's people who make costumes and outfits and things out of fabric that has the pattern of the old carpet from the main hotel. I know that sounds really weird, but just go with it. And I have some of that fabric. I have, I think, like 4 yards, maybe 5 yards of it, I think. And I have not used any of it because I've been like kind of afraid to use it because it's kind of expensive for one. But I'm also really new at sewing, and so I feel like a lot of my projects end up not working out, and I don't want to risk that fabric, you know? But I feel like I'm confident enough in making this pattern that I could do this. I'm not sure I have time though, because DragonCon's really coming up quick. I still have sewing projects for my husband left. I bought all the stuff recently to make a naked sim pixelated dress. That's what I'm gonna be making next for sure. Hopefully that will work. Cross your fingers. Hopefully that works out. I've never worked with stretchy material before, so this is gonna be a new one for me. but hopefully that works out. And that'll be my next video in the So Lit series. I'm gonna be listening to an audiobook while I make those things. Anyway, I love it. I'm really happy with it. I'm gonna go, I guess, change out the elastic and re-iron this hem, because I see it's coming up in some spots. So I'm gonna re-iron this hem and change out the elastic, sew everything in, and then I'll be done. So let's get going. So as I'm putting the finishing touches on my top and everything and getting everything finished and done, I'm also finishing up my book. And then the book finishes me, because that ending, man, whoa. I really don't do very well with cliffhangers. I don't really like them very much. I'm a very impatient person. So right after this, I immediately just go to my phone and go look up when the next book's coming out, because I need it like yesterday. This is why Onyx Storm is still my TBR pile. Normally, if I know the book's going to end on a cliffhanger, I usually wait for the next book to at least be closer to being released before I start the book. So here's my finished top. I absolutely love it. I think it turned out really good. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks so cute. I'm so excited to wear it to DragonCon. So speaking of things I love that I finished, I also finished A Rose in Chains, and I also loved it. 5 stars. So that's the end of my video. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I plan on making this into a series where I sew something while I'm reading something. So definitely hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this kind of video, because there will definitely be more to come. I already actually have my next sewing project planned out. I'm going to be making a Naked Sim cosplay for DragonCon. See you in the next one. Bye!